Unbelievable. Batman's gonna be Nightwing. Wait a minute. Our host has been kidnapped by the Predator.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and as our esteemed co-host, Mr. Young, has expressed, our original host has been commandeered and kidnapped by the Predator. I am using his voice right now with a modulator. Oh yes, I am the Predator, so if you didn't know. To my right, we have young Brian, who's masquerading today as...
I am doing a mashup here. I am part dragon. I am the Green Ranger. This is my dragon flute, you know, the classic do 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 do. And I'm also repping, you know, my man Mikey from the Turtles. So, you know, mashup.
So you're a Turtle Ranger.
Yeah, there you go. Which they are doing in a crossover comic, so it actually does fit.
I think the Turtles are punished the Rangers, to be honest with you, but
Maybe.
who knows? To my left, another esteemed colleague of mine. But who are you masquerading as today?
Yes, today I am dressed as Red Hood from the recent Batman Outlaws comic line. So it's more of like a take on just Red Hood, who's like a Batman. He sometimes is a villain, sometimes he's a hero, but he has like the ninja mask. He comes with a sword now. He also uses, you know, weapons and like guns and crowbars and stuff like that. But yes, that's who I am today.
I can dig it. I've always been curious, though, about these Batman spin-off characters. I mean, do they actually kill people, or are they like Batman where they don't really...
So the thing about Red Hood is he was formerly Robin. He was one of this, because there's like 5 different people who are Robin. He was the second Robin. His name's Jason Todd. He was killed by the Joker. He comes back to life, and he comes back basically being anti-Batman. Like, you know, he's not following the rules. Batman doesn't kill. He kills. He wants to not just destroy crime, he wants to like control it, because he feels like at this point you can't really just stop crime, you know what I mean? So it's like...
Oh, so he's actually a criminal.
Kinda, but more so like the comics now, they kind of make him an anti-hero, so they got him using rubber bullets, and he's not killing people as much as he would or whatever. This version,
man, you watered him down. I like this first story. You didn't...
I mean, like I said, this version, he more so is more the classic one, whereas he just, you know, he's more brutal, but...
And where's Batman during all this?
Batman's like trying to stop him. He's like fighting not just the criminals, but him. So it's like...
Could Batman get with him, or is he kind of too much for Batman?
Batman can stop him easily, because honestly, he's the one who taught him everything, but it's just the fact that he doesn't, like, you know, he doesn't hold back, you know what I'm saying? So he kind of catches him off guard every now and again.
I hear you. But anyway... For today, we got a lovely episode for y'all. We got a couple of matchups that you've been wanting to see, and we got a few questions about a few films that we like to talk about. And today, one of my most cherished question is, what film actually deserves a reboot opposed to just a sequel? You know what I mean? Like, you have Batman, it has a bunch of different, you know, reboots, but it also has its sequels. Then we have like Rambo. He has a bunch of sequels, but never really technically had a reboot. Gentlemen, please enlighten me on a movie or a film that you feel like deserved a reboot.
A movie that deserves a reboot. I mean, we kind of had one that I can think of that is a classic, because when I think of reboots, I think of older films and bring it more into like a modern context. So I think one that could be done in a good way, if they approach it the right way, is The Thing. That's the first thing that kind of comes to mind. Now, The Thing was a great John Carpenter movie.
Hold on, you talking about The Thing? Then they were like in Alaska or something like that?
Yeah, I think they were in like Norway or something.
It was snow outside, and they was getting.
Yeah, but the 1982 film with Kurt Russell and Keith David, I think that's a classic film. Love that movie. They tried to do a kind of remake sequel in 2011 with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That movie.
What was it called? The Thing?
It was also called The Thing. But I think if you actually did a reboot now with modern technology, but the thing is, like nowadays with visual effects, everything they want to make everything CGI, and I think the beauty of The Thing is the fact that you have practical effects. So if they could,
let me interject right
what's
quick.
that?
Wasn't there a remake? Not a remake, but a movie called like Earth or something had Ryan Reynolds in it, and it was like a thing that was on the spaceship with him, and they were trying to get back to Earth.
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Like some black goop or something.
Yeah, right. And they kept trying to kill it.
I forgot the name.
That was called Life.
Oh yeah, it was called.
Wouldn't you think that was kind of a remake to The Thing?
Nah.
Yeah,
I mean, the remake to The Thing was what they tried to do in 2011. I mean, because that movie basically took place in outer space. But I think they could do something interesting with that concept nowadays. I think that would be a good. I think that would be a good reboot.
Oh, I can dig it. I can dig it. What about you? Red Hood?
I think that you're gonna stop hating on Red Hood, right?
I'm bad. I don't want no smoke with Red Hood. You know, Predator probably punished Red Hood though. Like no joke, Predator probably punished Red Hood.
Man, the whole he wouldn't just fight. Bat Family would jump Predator. That's one
They
thing.
wouldn't be able to see him. He's invisible.
We got Batgirl. We gonna jump, and we got Robin.
I'm gonna backhand her with the claws.
Anyway, to answer your question, okay, I feel like some of those '90s kind of cult classics should get a remake. I mean, like granted, they're classics. Like, you know, I know one of your favorites, Demolition Man. Could you imagine like a Demolition Man right now?
Right now would be dope.
Yeah,
but who would they get to play Simon Phoenix?
Who would they get to play Simon Phoenix? I think Lakeith Stanfield. You ever seen Lakeith Stanfield?
Actually, I like that.
He was
Lakeith would.
Yeah, because he's weird. You know, he has that unsettly type of.
I dig it. But he's not buff enough though. Like Snipes was buffing that joint.
He's not buff, but I mean, you could probably get some good.
No man, he ain't gonna throw nobody around. I dig it though. Who they gonna get to play Stallone's character? John Spartan. What kind of name is John Spartan?
John Spartan.
Yeah.
You know,
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher. Oh no.
Security, remove this man from the show. Red Hood, dispatch him, please. You know what I'm saying?
Stallone. Trying to think who's the. I don't know.
Nah, they can get John Cena.
That wouldn't be bad actually.
That wouldn't be bad. You know, he did pretty good in what's the name?
Sometimes they just use a rock.
Nah, man, you can't use The Rock, man. The Rock. Nah, I'm actually tired of The Rock. I liked him when he was.
John Cena would be nice though. I think that'll work.
Yeah, also over the top. Yeah.
Another one they did. I know RoboCop. I know they tried to reboot RoboCop.
It was garbage. It was hot garbage.
It was not good with Joel Kidman.
Yeah.
From Suicide Squad, played Rick Flag. But I think they can do a good RoboCop nowadays. So,
okay. I like that. We're gonna stick on that topic, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and take a quick break, right quick, so we can pay some of these bills.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
And guess what, folks? Like that, poof, we're back. Cloud of smoke. Yeah, so we were talking about like these great reboots, what movie deserves a reboot, and we get to the action films. Yeah, we get it. But what about the good horror films that deserve a reboot or a sequel that we never got?
Horror films? Well, I guess in the spirit of Halloween. Well, I don't want to say Halloween because we've gotten like 3 reboots of Halloween already. H2O with
oh my God, those don't even count.
With all that nonsense.
Those are actually kind of sequels. I wouldn't even consider those reboots, actually.
You see what happened to them, though, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why they did that was more of a reboot.
Speaking of demolition, man, they demolition those movies right quick. That's what they needed to do. Oh my goodness.
Like, I guess Poltergeist. The original Poltergeist.
Yo, they never made a reboot on that.
They never made a remake. They never made a sequel. Nothing. But I mean, I guess.
Caroline.
I guess people figure like it's kind of an evolution step up when you go from Poltergeist and stuff to what we got Paranormal Activity and Conjuring movies and stuff. They kind of got that same vibe.
But what if the dude from Poltergeist was actually like the Predator? And it was the Predator like, come into the light.
Okay,
Like,
see, I don't know, but wait.
dispatch you right quick. Yeah.
And what was that joint called? Where he's like,
The Shining.
Shining?
Shining.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Here's
really.
Johnny.
I mean, even though there have been like talks with Stephen King, he didn't like the version that that was made with Jack Nicholson, directed by Stanley Kubrick. He famously didn't like that version. But I mean, see, I think with horror it's a little bit different because horror, I think the genre is so vast. Trying to go back to the well and do a remake or a reboot of something that has already come before, it's almost like you're just kind of spinning your wheels. So now, I mean, we see so much new horror now that the idea of even trying to reboot something feels like it feels old. It feels stale if you would try to reboot something.
I don't know about that because they rebooted Texas Chainsaw a lot.
Yeah, but you see the results of that. I mean,
they didn't do good.
No.
None of them?
No.
Not really.
And then, normally I think the last one came out in January that went straight to Netflix, and nobody really talked about that.
Straight to
I mean, I always found Texas Chainsaw to be more of a comedy to be like. Imagine being in that situation. Like, remember you was like, what horror movie you wouldn't want to be in? Like, that's a situation I wouldn't want to be in. Like, I wouldn't mind it so much. Because it ain't like he got a gun or any special powers. I just beat that dude up.
But the thing is, think about this. People forget he had a family, so it isn't like he was by himself.
Nah, yeah.
Yeah, you was getting jumped, and then the big guy with the chainsaw, he would come, and Leatherface would come and chop you up.
Yeah.
Leatherface wasn't Chainsaw Man? I thought he was the one.
No, he belongs to a family of crazy people.
Yeah.
Like, and they made him like that, and like they would his other family members would like get the people, and like trap him, and then that's when Leatherface would chase him around and kill him and do whatever.
So in that case, in that situation, the famous quote, what were they, psychos?
What were they, psychos? They look like psychos? Is that what they look like?
That's a horror movie that needs a remake. Dusk Before Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn is a great film. I would not want to see a reboot or a remake of that. I think for a lot of these movies that are classics, like they still hold up.
Mm-hmm.
They still hold up on their own.
Would you want to see a sequel of it though?
I mean, they made sequels to From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, they went straight to video.
They had
with Robert
TV
Patrick.
series.
They had a TV series, and they had a part 2 and a part 3 with Robert Patrick.
Oh,
and
yeah,
those movies,
they actually sucked. Yeah.
Like they don't really.
They didn't
talk
have
about.
no George Clooney, man. That was the X Factor.
George Clooney was great in that movie.
Yeah,
I don't
he
care
was.
what nobody says.
Yeah, without
nobody
George
talks
Clooney,
about that enough. Yeah.
That movie sucks,
Which
but
one?
I would love that, George Till Dawn. If you remove George Clooney from it,
If you remove,
yeah,
possibly.
But I would love to see a mashup with, that movie, Dusk Till Dawn, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What version? The film version or the TV show?
I feel like more people know the TV show.
I mean,
the
the
TV show was Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, that was more serious than the film version, but.
I just met this girl named Buffy.
Here's your chance.
Pike isn't a name, it's a fish.
Ooh, so exciting.
I could really count on.
You've been taking orders from me.
But as it turns out,
You have bigger the better. So, what's first?
They didn't play around. They wasn't
they
like.
didn't.
They were throwing around full-grown lichens like the werewolves, like they were nothing, like they were kids and stuff.
I actually like those stories though. Like, what was his name? Victor and Marcus. Those guys had a backstory like it was out of this world. Like, imagine being alive for like 1,000 years.
And they built a great mythology with those stories, especially those first couple.
And
of
I
films.
like just that vibe. You can't beat that like early 2000s punk rock aesthetic along with like the horror aspect. It's like it's like watching it now. You could tell it was probably.
I want you to hold that thought. We're gonna come right back on that, and we definitely want to keep it on that for at least a little bit. We'll be right back.
Hey, can you chop the pineapple? Chop the pineapple.
Nope. I'm high. How about I wash off the grapes?
Yes.
Okay.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
I want tacos. Will you drive?
I'm a little toasty.
Nope. I'm high. Let's order in.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
Just like we never left, promise to be right back. We want to get back on this topic of the worlds of Lycans and the werewolves. Well, who was the Lycans? That was the werewolves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lycans were the werewolves.
And the vampires were just called vampires?
Yeah, they were just vampires.
So was this technically a horror movie, or is this like an action thriller?
I mean, it's more based in the action genre, but I mean, dealing with werewolves and vampires, I mean, it's going to have some horror elements to it, but it's more of an action. It's more of an action franchise.
Yeah.
In a real fight, though, who do you think would really win, a vampire or a werewolf?
I think I gotta go werewolf. I gotta go werewolf.
Like they're in a cage, like Beyond Thunderdome or something like that, and it's just like a vampire.
I gotta go werewolf. I mean, they both, I guess, whichever version, because there's always different versions of vampires or werewolves that have different powers, different abilities. Like some werewolves and some franchises can do this, other ones can't. So I mean, it all depends on.
I don't know, man. I think they've used the werewolf abilities pretty steady. Like in every movie I've seen, they just get real big. They're kind of fast. They're strong. But they can never fly. They don't ever spit fire.
Yeah.
They don't know how to disappear. They can't I think vampires will win because vampires.
I think vampires have more tricks in their bag. Where I think werewolves, they're very feral, and but like you say, with being able to disappear, I think just with vampires, they're a little bit more cerebral. They would know how to, maneuver around in a fight with a werewolf, where a werewolf kind of more feels like, especially when someone turns, they're more of like a mindless creature, it feels like, where vampires would just have a little bit more of a way to be able to understand how to defeat them. So.
Speaking of vampires, man, I mean, I definitely don't consider this a horror film, but I guess it's in the Halloween genre because it's definitely make-believe. But the vampires from Twilight.
Oh, God. We really want to talk about Twilight?
Yeah, Twilight.
Really?
I mean, outside of it being corny, right? They had some pretty decent abilities. Like, the fact that they didn't all do the same thing, I found that interesting.
But yeah, what was that nonsense about one of them seeing the future or something like that?
That was the girl. That was the dude's sister. I hated her, too, because she didn't do anything but that. She ain't like she can rumble.
I never even saw. I think I saw the first movie and that was it.
Oh, so you didn't give it a real chance?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, he just cut it off. He's like,
Yeah, no.
It was a whole
terminate them.
fangirl war going on against them.
Y'all can have that. Yeah,
nah, because you didn't even get to the part where they got this group of dudes people called the Valkyrie or whatever, and they're like the serious vampires. They're not like trying to be playful and hang out in college and all that. They're like. They got serious power. Like this one chick, I loved her. She could stare at you and just make you have agonizing pain so you can't move. She got this homeboy she rock with. He just a big goon. He can just smash you and rip your head off, right? So what they normally do is when they get hold of you, like she'll paralyze you and the other one just rips your head off.
Okay.
But when they came across the McCullens or whatever, what's the Collins or Collins or whatever that name is, right? They get the beefing because they got the werewolves on their squad. They got this other dude. They like, man, we ain't trying to hear that no more. So they get the run. It's this big fight. And they end up killing these cats, you know what I'm saying, the Valkyrie. They try like, you know what I'm saying, smash them up. You know what I mean? It wasn't even no contest.
Right.
And then the girl who can see the future can show you the future. So she run up on Slim like, look, we can fight, but here's what's gonna happen. And he see it, he like, oh. And he get his head ripped off in the air. He like, oh, no, I don't want no parts of that. Okay. So like they let him go, and so the fight ain't even go down. So it kind of like, but what I want to know is, if you put Blade in that world, would he just go clean house?
Pretty much.
If Blade was in Twilight, there would be no
sequel.
No,
there
would be no third act. Like there would be nothing left to do.
Hey, you know what's so funny though? Blade is just like Patty. You remember in Blade 2 where he was like, "We can go vampire hunting. I went to nice spots. I went to private lakes." And they're like, "You want to see all our spots?" He's like, "Yeah."
Remember that scene in Blade Trinity where he runs up on the other vampire hunters and they just got like all this random stuff, and he's like, "What you think this is a joke? I don't do this for fun. Take this stuff seriously." He's like, y'all just playing around. He said, y'all ain't no real vampire hunters. I was like, why you gotta diss him like that? Like, why you gotta make fun of him?
Blade is hilarious though, man. Remember in the first one when the police was shooting at him? And he's like, man, what, you all crazy? I know Wesley Snipes be like, just ad-libbing some of that stuff, yeah.
Of course.
Pretty much.
Man, what I'm saying, but he ain't want none of no man. Well, we got on that topic one day. But before we leave, because I would definitely want to get on this, we can get to this battle royale, right? The one battle royale I definitely want, being that I'm in this Predator outfit, we all know Predator versus Alien was an epic battle, right? And ultimately, Predator, they lose, but it's only because they went 3 deep and fought like 8 million people, or 8 million xenomorphs,
yeah,
right?
it was like just 3 of them, and it was like a whole swarm of aliens.
Yeah,
so.
they held their own though. And then it's like, you know what I'm saying, they got petty, they blew the whole joint up anyway. But here's what I'm saying. If you took the world of Terminator, right?
Yeah.
The T-800, the original Schwarzenegger version, put them on the xenomorph planet, you think, how long would it take for them to go ahead and clean house? You know what I'm saying? Like, showing up. Or do you think they'd even win that fight?
I think a day.
You think
for what the T-800 said?
Yeah, think about it. The alien, it's, you know, it can move fast. It can overwhelm you, and it strikes fear, and like because you don't know where it is, and they put their eggs in the organic organisms, and that's how they keep the swarm going. But the T-100, it's a robot. It's not going to get taken over. It's not. Remember what Kyrie said? It doesn't feel fear, petty, or remorse, and it absolutely will not stop until you are dead.
That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop, ever, until you are dead.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna go up in the little alien hive. I mean, like you said, Ripley went in the alien hive with just a flamethrower and made it out.
I mean, she had a machine gun too. Like, don't play around. And Ripley goes hard. She had her whole reason for doing it was to save this little kid.
Yes.
But you can't front. That xenomorph got hit by the ship, somehow got crunched up in some trash, snuck on board the ship through the vacuum of space, and when they landed, hopped out and killed them. So you got to give the joint some credit.
I guess.
Because, you know, Bishop was basically a Terminator. I mean, and look what happened to him. Like, the joint could go through.
They're going to probably take out a good portion of Terminators, but if the Terminators pull up with all that stuff of the future, the people don't talk about in the future when the Terminators take over. So they got tanks.
They did take over. We're going to take this break right quick, right before we take over.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to definitely go up in there and take over. Now that we about to take back over the airwaves. Brian, you ain't really get an input on this one, but you mentioned before that you think the xenomorphs stand a good chance.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it now. I mean, you make a good argument, Eric, because, yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be able to get inside of the Terminators because they are robotic. So they need like a human organism in order for them to kind of like replicate and do things like that. So I guess if you take out the mother, the alien, because even with that, because all she does is just give out those eggs, and then the xenomorphs still have to attach themselves to a human organism. Yeah. I don't know. You may have convinced me.
I'm telling you, especially if they pull up with all that futuristic tanks and the gunships.
So they can do that stuff in a day.
Yeah, I'm thinking
inside of a couple hours.
The acid blood, but even with that, I mean, that's not going to take out if you have an army of T-800s.
Yeah, I'd say not even just the army. If you send 50 Terminators in there, it's game over.
50? Game over, 50, man.
It's game over. Yeah. Give them all weapons. They're going to go up in there. They'll be like, are you the queen? Bam, bam. That's what they're going to do. Let's think about it. In the first Terminator, he showed up and he looked up in the phone book. He said, okay, there's like 4 Sarah Connors. He went there every Sarah Connor and tried to take each one out until he got the correct one.
They don't stop.
Playing. I wonder how come he ain't never get arrested though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Seriously. Like,
who get arrested?
Terminated.
How you going to arrest a Terminator?
I mean, think about it though. Like, eventually the police is gonna come. You know what I'm saying? Like, eventually.
But what are they going to do?
They're gonna call for backup. It's like they at some point would be on the news. Yo, a massive shootout left. Well, then again, it was a police station he shot up. So
he went to the police.
To the police. And imagine Terminator telling that queen, "I'll be back."
And don't let them send the T-1000, the little liquid Terminator.
Oh yeah, it'd probably take a couple hours after that. You know
don't let them send the
just seen like one.
They send the T-1000.
Replicate the queen.
Send that little shapeshifter with his.
We want to talk about, since we talking about group battles though, let me ask y'all something. This is more of a cartoon question though. But y'all remember Ninja Turtles?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Shredder? Shredder was my man. He did have a big mob. He had a little crew, the Foot. So imagine the Foot against the biggest mob of all cartoon history, Cobra from G.I. Joe. Who wins that fight?
I don't know. See, I'm a big Turtles fan, but if we're going with the animated shows, strictly the animated shows from the 80s, I got to go with Cobra. Because, I mean, you look at the Foot soldiers in that 87 animated show are basically robots. You know, they're like mindless, like droids that like walk around like this, and it's just.
I'm about to say, doesn't Cobra have the bats? They got the robots, the Cobra bats. They already got robots. They got the soldiers. They got Crimson Guards. They got the elite Vipers. Yeah. They got tanks. They got ships.
That's the thing about Cobra was y'all stacked though. Cobra was y'all about it like that, man.
Like, say, even if Cobra just showed up with a regular Foot army, and like. Throw Zartan or Baroness over there.
Yeah, I mean, Cobra is literally like a branch of the military.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You know,
that's like Saddam Hussein now. We taking over your whole spot. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't.
You saying so the Shredder and the Foot is like a street punk gang.
Yeah, a massive street punk gang going up against the branch of the military, going up against the Marine Corps.
The only people I say, the only people I say who could probably give Cobra some smoke is the Empire, like the Stormtroopers.
Oh yeah,
the Stormtroopers.
Yeah,
but they can't shoot though.
I mean, but
neither can Cobra.
Yeah, you gotta look at what they got. I mean, look, that's like the Air Force. They got TIE fighters. They got so much.
Hey, look, I mean, the Joes can. I mean, not the Joes. Cobra can probably hold their own. They got them his tanks.
Yeah. Why was this tank shaped like snakes though? Like that was just corny to me.
This is
the gimmick. A big tank. Like and then when you gotta think about it, like, imagine the people who are just like in the crowd, right? Like in the building, chilling like us. That we see a big snake take up the street and has a big fight. Like, where are all those people at?
I don't know. Hey, look, man, they're dead.
Probably.
The crossfire. Like,
probably.
I mean, think about even the weapons that Cobra had. The weather dominator, the mass device. Like,
yeah.
They did.
Shredder and Krang only have the Technodrome.
Yeah.
And that's like burrowing underground.
The Technodrome.
You know?
What did Krang actually do though besides run his mouth?
I don't know.
Get beat up?
Yeah, imposing fear from the way he looked, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, if I seen a big talking brain, though, like inside of a huge robot, I kind of would be scared.
Well, actually, you know, the Death Star will probably show up, and then Cobra will be like, oh, attack, and then Death Star will just...
The Death Star?
Yeah, he would like, you may fire when ready.
Yeah, Death Star would be like, that thing's operational?
That thing's fully operational.
Firepower is fully armed and operational. Battle station.
That blast came from the Death Star. That thing's operational.
We go bombard the car.
It's way bigger than Nino Brown.
Nino Brown of the Galactic Empire.
Yeah. That would be hilarious, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, we have a few fights. We always got a few fights lined up. I know you guys have a dream fight. What is it?
Is it a dream fight?
Dream fight, yeah.
Well, keeping the spirit of Halloween, I would want to see Alice from, the Resident Evil movies versus, what's her name? From Underworld.
Oh,
Celine.
Celine.
Yeah, Celine. Yeah.
Hold up, but what Alice? Possessed Alice or regular Celine? Regular
I guess
Alice.
regular Alice is either. I mean, I feel like there's no difference in me. You know what I mean?
Possessed Alice is a beast. Regular Alice is just a member of Stars. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference.
I mean, I don't know. I think Celine would probably win.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a vampire. She definitely probably.
I mean, yeah, but Alice would probably still give her some work. You saw the stuff she was doing. She was doing like some Matrix stuff. Like,
yeah, I know.
like she was no slouch. Like,
she wasn't no
granted,
joke.
she's killing slow walking zombies, but she's also killing those what are they called? The nemesis and all that other stuff. Yeah, so.
We'll definitely have to retouch that one of these days, but I'm definitely glad we had this topic, man. I want to know what the fans think, man. Let us know who you want to see rumble, who you want to see in the big Duke-a-roo. In the meantime, we are going to be out of here. Happy Halloween to you folks.
This is Sparta!